Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now. What's up YouTube, Capital G here. I'm talking Banlist in this video. I'm just going to jump right into it because I shot this video before it ended up going like 14 minutes. Anyways, this is what I think should happen. The ban list really is right around the corner. The format ends in like pretty much less than 3 weeks. So anyways, for banned, I've got Soul Charge. This card can't go to limited. It just needs to go. It's way too powerful. I don't think that at any point in Yu-Gi-Oh! You should be able to look at your life points as a tangible resource for that you can exchange for advantage. Like cards that have cost, you know, like confiscation and solemn warning, the life points aren't what lets you use the card effectively. It's basically just a cost to activate the card. With Soul Charge, your life points determine how good the card is. And if you have like 6,000-7,000 life points, there's nothing stopping you from paying 5,000 life points and saying, I activated this one card and got 5 monsters out. And in this format, you know, maybe 2 of those monsters will activate and pay for themselves the second they hit the field. So I mean, you're already at like what, +6 right there. And then basically you just consolidate that +6 into Xyz and basically, you know, use whatever Xyz or synchros or fusions you need to basically wreck your opponent's field. And I feel like it's just a win condition in itself. It needs to go. Limited, I've got Stratos. I feel like if Stratos was limited right now, Heroes could be a viable tier 1.5 deck, mainly because, like Robbie said, Super Poly would just be so fucking good right now. I mean, against like S Knights, they'd basically be able to go straight into the Shining, and you wouldn't be able to like use Nova Alpha or anything like that. I mean, I think that it would actually be a very competitive, good deck right now, even without the Mask Heroes. I've got Vanity Emptiness at 1. This card is, I kind of feel like it's a product of Soul Charge and how powerful that card is, but I feel like Vanity's Emptiness right now is pretty much as good as Royal Oppression was like way back in the day, because this format, everything is about instant gratification and every monster kind of paying for itself. So it just feels like if you get a window or you get a monster that's like over 2,000 attack, it feels like it's the equivalent to what used to be like over 3,000 attack. You flip over Vanity's Emptiness, you stop your opponent from doing whatever the hell they want. And then unlike Royal Oppression, this card is super fucking easy to turn off. I mean, you just MST your opponent's back row or activate an Upstart Goblin or whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, I can go spam ham crazy on my opponent, but they can't really do anything. You know, the same mindset with Trap Stun and stuff like that. I feel like Vanity's Emptiness is controlling way too much of the game, and plus it makes it so like other traps like Torrential and Bottomless, like they're just not going to see play with this card at 3. I've got Moraltech at 1. I feel like even though I've got a sensitivity to this because I play 2 Moraltech and 3 Sanctums in my Batteryman, but Moraltech needs to go to 1 simply because of how powerful this card is when you summon it off Call of the Haunted or Sanctum. It's basically, it punishes your opponent for playing things that don't float. Like whenever I use this against like a Thunder King Ryo or an Una or something like that, I just get the biggest smile on my face because you know that you've basically gone +2. You know, you get basically Moraltech on field. He blows up the Ryo. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's crazy. The momentum swing off a simple Moraltech is like way too much. And then you get a 2100 body, which again, 2100 now is like 3,000, you know, like 3 years ago. I've got Tour Guide from the Underworld at 1. This is where people are going to start disliking the video. I'm sorry. I said it when I made that video that Tour Guide was going to be uber broken. And basically you're seeing that it come to fruition. Like Tour Guide is just, it's way too fucking floaty right now. I mean, you get Tour Guide and then that gets you a Burning Abyss monster, and then you exchange those for Dante. Dante can mill even more Burning Abyss monsters for even more pluses, and even at the worst case, you're still going to go plus with Tour Guide anyway. And then of course, if you get scrammed, you basically just continue the train on and on and on. And it's like, it's just never a bad play. Like late game, mid game, turn 1, it's basically a godsend because it gets you Dante and then it gets you another copy of itself. Like I think that 2 Tour Guides wouldn't do anything, so the only sufficient number I could see for this card is 1, and it would kind of make the deck at least go back to more of the normal summon Scram, special summon Seer, so at least I can't activate my Seer this turn if my opponent Torrentials me or they evac my monster or something. With Tour Guide, the play is too fucking safe. I've got Super Poly at 1. My biggest beef with Super Poly is that you cannot respond to it. So basically it makes counter traps pointless And then, you know, like you can't respond with, you know, cards that would stop special summoning, like Vanity's Emptiness or something like that. And this card was perfectly balanced in my opinion until Shaddolls came out, and none of them fucking missed timing. That was my biggest concern with Super Poly. I was like always like, this card is good, but it's never gonna be like elite because like too much shit misses timing. If you Super Poly the Shining, you don't get its effect, and the discards from your hand, if there was ever a monster, like it would miss timing. There's too much, you know, if shit to go on with the card. With Shaddoll, they're just like, no, we don't miss timing. Whatever you tribute doesn't miss timing. The stuff that we discard, all of it activates. And I feel like Shaddoll just broke this shit. Not to mention, there's of course the random times where your opponent will have like a construct and like a white dragon, and they'll be like attack, and then they'll super poly into fucking like another construct and, you know, basically get its effect. They'll never go neg during that exchange, but then they get usually another 28 to end the game. So it's like the whole, you know, being able to attack twice, that kind of just put it over the top for me. And then of course it gets even better when Mass Heroes comes out. I've got Wind Up Carry Zenmaity, just because why not. And then my last card, I've got Sinister Shadow Games. I felt like this was the most legitimate hit to Shaddolls. I kind of feel like there's a little Yugioh going on here, like not as powerful, but I feel like it's one of those situations where if the Shaddoll player opens with the setup, and the old setup used to be like armor plus Yugioh, there was, if they went first, there was like no way to stop it basically, unless you had like double Black Horn of Heaven or like warning plus Black Horn or some shit like that. I feel like if a player opens up with like Falco or a good flip effect plus Shadow Games, like there's just no way to fucking get around that. You know what I mean? Shadow Games is chainable, so don't even try blind MSTing them. If you try to Nobleman, they'll just chain that, you go neg, and then they just go plus a billion. I just think that this card has to go to 1. It makes their flip effects way too fast. Like I thought maybe the flip effects were going to be slow, but then they made this card and it just got ridiculous. Semi-limited, I've got Ice Hand and Fire Hand. I feel like if some of the cards that pay for themselves are kind of checked, then people will immediately run back to the hands, and they're still not balanced cards. I don't care what anybody says. The hands are really not balanced. I feel like it'd be pointless to limit them because like what would be the point? So I feel like semi-limit is kind of like the only acceptable number. And then I have Bottomless Trap Hole. I kind of wanted to throw Torrential in there, but I feel like Torrential just causes too much collateral damage. Bottomless Trap Hole is barely seeing any play because in this format, there's, again, too much instant gratification. You summon your Armageddon Knight, you summon your Deneb, your Altair, your Moraltech, your Mathematician. You don't care if any of, well, not Armageddon Knight because he can't be bottomless, but you don't care if any of those monsters get bottomless because they pay for themselves the second that you summon them. So your opponent is still neg. Bottomless Trap Hole can no longer keep up in the 1-for-1 game. Like last format, bottomless was amazing. You could bottomless, you know, Yamato, you can bottomless a Fire Hand, all types of shit. But in this format where every fucking thing that gets summoned fucking pays for itself, Bottomless Trap Hole just isn't that good anymore. And then for my unlimited, I have Coach Soldier Wolfbark. I can't in good conscience, Asian Eyes made a really good point, I cannot in good conscience have Altair at 3 and then have Wolfbark at 1. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Wolfbark got power creep so freaking fast. It is unbelievable because Altair just looks at Wolfbark and he's just like, yo, you old news, homie, because Altair still, like, Altair is basically a +2 on summon. He still triggers the Deneb, and basically the restriction of you can only attack with S-Knight monsters, that shit's a joke. I mean, you still get to make any XC you want. You can still attack with Altair and then main phase 2 XC. So I feel like Coach Soldier Wolfbark needs to be at 3. I've got Bestiari, just obligatory Bestiari. Why is it at 1? And then my last card is Dimensional Fissure. I feel like Y is, like, out of Macro, Soul Drain, and Dimensional Fissure is obviously the worst one. Not only do XC materials still go to the graveyard so people can dance around it, especially like Burning Abyss players, but then in addition, I mean, it's like a card, you can see it coming. Your opponent activates it and then you can just easily play around it, you know what I mean? Wait till you have Speller Trap removal or you have a legitimate play to do something. With Soul Drain and Macro, at least you can surprise your opponent until they've like committed and then catch them sleeping or something like that. I kind of feel like Soul Drain could easily go to 3. I kind of feel like they could all go to 3, but I think this is the one that most people would agree on can go to 3. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully this video wasn't too long. Banlist is right around the corner. Let me know if there were any cards that you think should go to 1, 2, or 3. Thank you guys for watching as always.